Hey, this is Vision.
And this is Julie with Silly Girl Design.
Have you ever used a bearing press?
No, what's a bearing press?
You really don't know what a bearing press
I
is?
have no idea what a bearing press is.
A bearing press is a tool that you use to put bearings into skateboard wheels, so you don't have to use the trucks to do it.
Yeah, I always just push it really hard and
Well, this is how you use a bearing press.
I bought a skateboard bearing press, and I realized after I purchased it that I couldn't find a single video anywhere online that shows you how to use one. So I figured I would make one. There aren't a lot of skateboard bearing presses on the market. Here's two of them. This first one you see is made by FKD, and as you can see, the weld there that's holding the handle onto the press is pretty good. It's pretty solid. This bearing press is made by Powerdyne, and if you look at the weld that's holding the handle on, you can see it's just one tiny little spot weld. It's not very big, and I actually broke the weld on the Powerdyne. So here's a little bit more footage that kind of shows you the quality and the craftsmanship of each of the bearing presses. We're looking first at the FKD. Again, this weld on the handle is pretty darn solid, pretty beefy. You can see the thickness of the plates that make up the actual sides of the bearing press. In the bottom, you can see the spindles that are holding the press together. It's pretty solidly built. The Powerdyne, the metal is a little bit thinner. Again, you can notice that spot weld right there that cracked on the Powerdyne. It's just not quite as strong. The Powerdyne is a little bit wider, and it's a little bit longer, and I think it can probably hold a slightly larger wheel. Like if you're doing, say, 70 millimeter wheels for a longboard or something, the Powerdyne is probably a better choice. But my preference is the FKD. So if you're going to put bearings in wheels, that's what you need, the bearing press. You need a good set of bearings. You obviously need a wheel. And I like to use steel bearing spacers. Some people say you don't need spacers. I prefer to use them. Here you have all the elements that you need to actually do your whole little project. So you have the spacer there in the upper left. You got a brand new box of bearings. You have the bearing press, and you have the wheel. So good bearings will come with spacers, but these black ones are actually alloy. And that silver one is made out of steel, which is a lot better because it won't get crushed when you're actually tightening down your bearings. So what you do is you take this little spindle on the bearing press, and you flip it up, and you stick the bearing on there. And then you put the wheel on the spindle. The next element is the spacer. That goes on the spindle. And then you take another bearing and you put that on the spindle. You drop the spindle back into place and try to line everything up, as good as you can. Get everything centered as much as possible. And then you carefully grab hold of the handle and push down. And make sure, again, as you're doing it, line everything up. And everything should get pressed into place. And what I like to do, this little trick, is I kind of turn the wheel a little bit and then put a little bit more pressure just to make sure that it's sitting in there all evenly and that it's all pressed into place flat all the way around. And in fact, here, if we get a nice tight close-up, we can see that the bearing is completely even on both sides, nice and flush on every edge. It's not lopsided. It's not in there at a funky angle. And you can see the bearing spacer in the middle there as well. Now, how do you remove a bearing using a bearing press? Well, on this side is the spindle, which we use to put the bearings in. But on the other side here, we've got this little tab that kind of sticks out on the end of the bearing press rod. We can zoom in and get a little tighter shot of that, and you can see how it's just got that sort of little lip on it. So what you basically do, it's very simple. You slide the wheel on, and it will hook over the inside of the bearing. And it'll actually make kind of a little click, when you get it in place. So you just kind of grab the thing, line it up, and slide it on over until it clicks into place. Then, grab hold of the handle, start to push down, and you gently push down until the wheel itself is going to get pulled up against the plates. As you can see right here, the wheel is pulled up solid against the plates. So then you grab hold of the wheel, get a nice solid grasp on it, and you'll actually hear the bearing pull out as you push down on the handle. And that's it. Simple way to remove the bearing. And that's all of the instructions for today of how to use a skateboard bearing press.
Okay, so you and I now know how to use a bearing press. No longer have to shove the bearings back into the truck and the wheel and, you know, mess around. So kind of neat and nice.
Yeah, it's very cool. Bearing presses are awesome. They cost quite a bit, so if you're a kid who just has like one skateboard, you don't really need one. But you know what? If you have more than one skateboard, get a bearing press. It's well worth it.